Hey, Jeff Carlisi here from 38 Special, and we're rocking it up right here with Traders Nation.
Welcome back. You are tuning in to Traders Nation. My pleasure to have back with us once again Angela Sloan. She's CEO and founder of Sloan Financial Group. Angela, welcome back to Traders Nation. How are you today?
Well, it's wonderful to be back, and I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Awesome. Really good. Can't complain at all. What a beautiful day it is. So listen, the Economist, as you know, has reported in June that the U.S. student loan debt exceeded $1.2 trillion with over 7 million debtors in default. What does this mean for the student loan industry and for the rest of us?
This means that crisis that's coming, that everybody says the next crisis is coming and it's going to be the student loans, that crisis is upon us.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's being talked about enough. I'm starting to see it more and more in my office.
Okay.
And it's not even my area of concentration.
I see.
But I had two real extremes come to me.
Yeah.
And when I say extreme, I mean extremely opposite of each other.
Okay.
One was a very young couple, and the other couple were in their 60s.
I see.
The very young couple, between the two of them, and they were in tears, and they said, "You know, we tried to seek good advice, and we followed the advice that we received."
Okay.
And of course, the university that they went to said, "Don't worry about the money, just get the degree. Don't
Right.
worry about the money, just get the degree.
Okay.
The money will come, just get the degree."
Okay.
So that's what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two of them, over $200,000 in student debt.
Wow.
They get their jobs. The debt is due. They have to start making payments this August.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they get their jobs.
Yeah.
Then they said, "Okay, let's buy a house."
Ooh.
The realtor tells them, "Oh, no, you've got to buy as much house as you can buy."
Yeah.
Long story short, they bought way too much house.
Okay.
Spent too much on the house.
Okay.
Then they get pregnant with twins.
Oh, boy, I tell you what. So Angela, what
Right.
I'm hearing, it sounds like there's potentially bad advice all the way around. It
Yeah.
sounds like maybe some people aren't doing the necessary due diligence that they should probably do. Okay, to me,
But they did.
well, if
But
they wouldn't they know the numbers?
Well, you got to understand, they started this trek 6 years ago.
Okay.
So, and here's the thing.
Yeah.
Kids coming up through school, they're not taught basic finance. They're not taught things like about your credit score
Sure.
and selling your future down the road, which is
Right.
essentially what this couple has done.
Yeah.
This is going to be a default. There is no money in their budget to pay this. Child care is horrendous. They've got 1-year-old twins.
Right.
There's no way she can work the way she thought she was going to be able to work.
Okay.
She did find a job where she could work at home, but she still has to have child care so that she can do that job.
Sure.
And here's the other caveat.
Okay.
Even if they file bankruptcy,
Yeah.
student loans are not dischargeable in bankruptcy court. So they have no protection there.
Right.
So if they default, now that house that they worked so hard to get the most house they could get, okay, now that can be attached.
Sure.
Any tax refund, state or federal,
Yeah.
in the future, that's going to be scarred up.
Yep.
They have essentially their whole future.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So-
what are they going to do?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So, again, it comes back to due diligence, I think. And I can't help but ask, because I'm looking at some of the numbers here too. I'm looking at some of the, and $200,000 certainly is high, but is that the average? Because I'm looking at numbers. Some of the averages coming out. The average debt is $29,800. 200,000. Are they doctors? And if they are, wouldn't that salary be relevant to the amount of debt they took on?
He actually does compliance work for one of the banks.
Oh, okay. He's a financial guy?
She did. Well, he works compliance,
Oh,
so
okay.
he oversees the computer system. He's looking for compliance violations,
Like
trading
IT.
violations, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
She was also something in IT. But the other extreme, the couple in the 60s, he was a minister.
Oh.
They had his student debt, her student debt. He wanted to get a counseling degree, which he did. She
Sure.
wanted to get a nursing degree, which she did.
Yeah.
Then they had the daughter in college at the same time. So
Yeah.
there's 3 sets of student debt there. They're in their 60s.
Yeah.
2 years after she gets her degree, she hurts her back. She's now on Social Security disability.
Not enough to pay for that. So what I'm thinking here is, so going to college and going for that education is a conscious decision for everybody. If they want to, they can. If they don't want to, by looking at it's like buying a house, you're buying your education. It's like buying a car. If you need transportation, you buy a car. You have to look at your income or potential income. And these are all based on decisions that you ultimately have to live with, is what I'm thinking.
That's true, but you're talking about an 18-year-old kid here. I remember, and I'm not going to say how many years ago,
yeah.
but a long, long time ago, when student loans were first coming on the scene,
yeah.
there was no money for me to go to college. My guidance counselor at my high school told me all about these student loans, and I was so excited. And I came home, and I couldn't wait to tell my dad.
Sure.
He was sitting at the supper table. I sat down beside him, and I started telling him I had this thing figured out. They told me at school how I could go on to college.
Right.
And he didn't say a word. He listened.
Sure.
And when I finished, he looked at me, and he said, "You mean to tell me that somebody down at that school told you to go borrow a bunch of money so you can go to school and you don't have a job to pay it back?"
Right.
And I said, "Yeah, but you start paying it." And he interrupted me. He said, He said, "That's the most stupid thing I ever heard tell of in my life."
So why don't we have more dads like that out there right now? Because honestly, go ahead.
He made me so mad that day I could have bit nails in two.
Of course.
This is what he said.
Yeah.
He said, "I tell you how you do this." He said, "You're going to get your tail," only he didn't say tail.
Yeah.
He said, "You're going to get your tail out that door, and you're going to find a job.
There you go.
And if you can't find a job, you're going to make a job. And if you can make a job, you can make a job for some other people while you're at it.
Right.
And when you've done that and you have a job, then you will have the money to go to school. That's how you do this."
Right.
You know what? That crazy old man was 100% right.
Sure. So why don't
Look at where I am.
What I
do.
Why don't we see more of that, though? Why don't we see more of that? Because I know that it makes the government and everybody, the school systems make it so easy to go get these loans. It's basically all you need to do is take the time to fill out the paperwork, and that almost seems to be a hassle for some of these people. And you can get those loans to go through school. But, it takes a lot more than just getting the loans. You got to be able to get through school. Certainly pick a choice of major that's going to make you some money when you come out on the other side.
Thank you, because I sat down with one gal. She's got almost $100,000 in student debt, and she has a job making $35,000 a year working at an orphanage.
CNBC says the average median income is $48,400. So she didn't land too well when she came out on the other side. So
no, she's working at an orphanage.
Oh, okay.
She's working at a nonprofit.
Well, but that's a life choice, though. But that's a life choice, though, for her, isn't it?
You're right. That was stupid on her part.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's great for the kindness it's great for the kindness in heart and to the soul. I mean, it really is. I'm not against that whatsoever, but it really is her choice in the end. I don't know.
Right. One thing that would help is doing this thing that has been suggested, where employers can take a tax deduction for helping an employee with their student debt. They can pay up to $10,000. Right.
I love that.
The big corporations can do that, and I love that idea.
Yeah. I do.
But the small business owner, it's going to be hard for them to do it.
He can't compete. The small business guy can't compete. The small business guy can barely bring in health care, let alone pay for education. But I love the fact that these larger corporations have that will pay for your school. What a great way to go. Right? We're out of time. I tell you, Angela, we could talk forever on this topic because there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. And I think there's some false prophets out there going on right now when it comes to free everything. And education's one of them. Wipe out education. Crazy. Very unresponsible. Very unresponsible. Some of these politicians throwing this out there. That may actually accelerate the default. Angela Sloan, thanks for being with us today. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for having me. You have a wonderful day.
Welcome back. You are tuned in to Traders Nation. Hey, Dono. So listen, I just want to cover a little bit of this, okay? So some of the kids today that are coming up and they're finishing up high school, they don't really want to go out there and work in the real world. They don't want to do that. Maybe they're just trying to decide what they want to do, so they're going to go to college, right? They may take up basket weaving in college. I don't know, but it's poor decisions, Don, that they make ultimately will affect them. So is it okay for them to poo-poo down the road? It's like, well, I took up basket weaving. I spent $120,000 to do it. I got a PhD, and now I can do nothing.
Kurt, the American tragedy is that we're not teaching in high school mathematics, and that is a tragedy.
Right. You're totally right.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
And so we have kids in the marketplace now, the workplace. They just are totally ill-prepared, and unfortunately, our federal government is quite guilty, along with all the colleges that want to build all the buildings and have the endowments, and then they could care less really about the students. That's the bottom line of the whole thing.
It totally is. I mean,